Hello, General Hospital today will reveal the latest revelations from General Hospital hint at a dramatic and possibly dangerous shift in Charlotte Cassadine's path, as she may soon seek revenge on her former stepmother, Nina Reeves. If the rumors prove true, Charlotte's actions could mark a major turning point, not just in her own arc, but also in the lives of Willow Kane, Valentine Cassadine, and everyone caught in the crossfire. With the Cassadine name already soaked in betrayal, manipulation, and blood-stained legacies, Charlotte's full embrace of her family's dark nature could spell disaster for all involved. As 2026 unfolds, whispers from the set suggest that Charlotte is on the verge of significant transformation. What once seemed like the angst of a hurt teenager now threatens to harden into calculated retribution. A betrayal, one that strikes at her both heart and identity, appears to be the catalyst. Viewers who followed her journey know that Charlotte was long walked a tightrope between moral struggle and the seductive pull of the Cassadine dynasty. But now, pushed beyond her limits, she may stop trying to resist that pull altogether. And if she does, it won't be an emotional spiral. It'll be a strategic and ruthless campaign designed to punish those she believes wronged her. Charlotte's fury toward Nina is at the center of this brewing storm. The young Cassadine didn't stumble into suspicion. She overheard a conversation that shattered what little trust remained between her and Nina, a secretive exchange between Nina and Jack Brennan that exposed a web of manipulation and dangerous compromise. From Charlotte's point of view, that conversation was more than a betrayal. It was proof that Nina had been playing a long game, one that included not only keeping secrets, but using Charlotte as a pawn in a larger war. The specifics of that exchange were damning. Brennan was an intimidating and powerful figure, confessed that he had intervened to keep Willow Kane out of prison for a crime as severe as attempted murder. That favor wasn't without expectation. He demanded that Nina, in return, help take down Valentine. For Charlotte, hearing this confirmed her worst fears. That Nina, someone who once claimed to love and protect her, had sold out her father to save another woman. That betrayal cuts even deeper when viewed through the lens of loyalty. In Charlotte's mind, family comes first, and the Cassadine family name must be defended. To hear that her father, Valentine, was being thrown under the bus by someone once welcomed into their family ignites a rage that may soon become uncontrollable. What makes this twist even more tragic is that Nina didn't actually betray Valentine in the way Charlotte thinks. Despite Brennan's coercive demands, Nina did what she could shield both Valentine and Charlotte from the fallout. She hesitated. She lied. She maneuvered around Brennan's orders as best she could, trying to protect those she still cared for, even if her methods were murky. But perception is everything, and Charlotte's perception has been poisoned beyond repair. She sees Nina not as a conflicted ally, but as a calculated traitor. In the Cassadine world, betrayal is not just a personal slight. It is a declaration of war. And Charlotte, growing into her lineage, seems ready to wage that war. If she embraces the Cassadine legacy fully, viewers could witness a terrifying evolution. She has the intellect, the emotional wounds, and now the motive to do real damage. And who better to target than Willow, the woman who benefited from Nina and Brennan's deal? In Charlotte's mind, Willow is not just complicit. She's the beneficiary of an arrangement that cost Charlotte her family's unity and her father's safety. This perceived injustice could prompt her to dig into Willow's path, unearth secrets, and plot to expose them at the worst possible moment. What exactly might Charlotte reveal about Willow? There's no shortage of buried sins in Port Charles. Whether it's Willow's past with the cult, her complicated motherhood journey, or suppressed memories from her earlier traumas, Charlotte could exploit them with surgical precision. If she were to gather evidence and strategically leak damaging details, it wouldn't just tarnish Willow's public image. It could jeopardize her career, her relationships, and even her custody of Wiley. That kind of attack, especially from someone as young and as intelligent as Charlotte, would shock the town and leave lasting scars.
It's also worth considering how this might impact Valentine, already reeling from multiple betrayals and power struggles. Learning that his daughter is orchestrating a vendetta could push him to a breaking point. Would he protect Charlotte at all costs, even if she's in the wrong, or would he try to stop her, placing himself in direct opposition to the daughter he's tried so hard to guide? Either way, the emotional fallout could be devastating. Valentine, more than anyone, knows what it means to be consumed by vengeance. Seeing that same fire in his daughter's eyes might remind him of the man he once was, the man he hoped she'd never become. And then there's Nina. already carrying the weight of public condemnation for her past actions, including her involvement in exposing Carly and Drew's insider trading. She now faces the prospect of being hunted by someone she once called family. Charlotte's campaign against her wouldn't be loud or reckless. It would be quiet, patient, and devastatingly precise. Small humiliations might build toward a larger confrontation, one where Nina is publicly disgraced or forced to choose between saving herself and sacrificing someone else. It's the kind of slow burn revenge that Cassadines excel at, and the kind that Nina, with all her secrets, may not survive unscathed. In a broader sense, this storyline reflects a classic GH theme, the cyclical nature of betrayal and revenge, and how children are often shaped and sometimes warped by the sins of their elders. Charlotte's descent, if it happens, won't just be a personal journey. It will be a tragic echo of Valentine's own past. A mirror held up to the pain he once inflicted and now must witness anew. If Nina is caught in the middle, the show may be setting the stage for a multi-generational reckoning, one where no one escapes the consequences of secrets long buried. As rumors continue to swirl and the weeks unfold, fans should keep their eyes on Charlotte Cassadine. Her transformation could be one of the most chilling and emotionally complex arcs the show has tackled in years. Whether she finds redemption or becomes the newest Cassadine villain will depend not just on what she does next, but on how far those around her are willing to go to stop her. Because once a Cassadine chooses vengeance, there's rarely a way back. And in Charlotte's case, the war she's about to unleash may be one no one is prepared for. Following Charlotte's admission that she had been in contact with her father, Valentine Cassadine, Nina's demeanor shifted abruptly. Any warmth or patience she might have mustered for their strained relationship vanished in an instant, replaced by a cold and decisive urgency. The conversation, already tense and teetering on the edge of confrontation, was cut short. For Nina, the stakes had changed. Powerful men were hunting Valentine, and any communication between him and Charlotte posed a danger not only to him, but to Charlotte herself. Nina, operating under layers of pressure from both her own conscience and external threats, made it clear that trust was no longer a given. Charlotte, she warned, could trust no one, least of all Nina herself. That chilling admission might have confused Charlotte, but Nina's underlying motive was strategic, not cruel. She wasn't simply shutting Charlotte out, she was deliberately shielding her from knowledge from association, and from the reach of the dangerous forces that could use Charlotte's information as a weapon. Nina's intention was to create distance for Charlotte's safety, even if it meant becoming the villain in the young girl's eyes. But to a Cassadine like Charlotte, who has always struggled with abandonment, secrecy, and betrayal, the nuance of Nina's protective deceit was lost in a storm of adolescent resentment. The girl who once sought love and loyalty now felt manipulated and discarded. Nina may have ended the conversation, but the damage was already done. Charlotte, sharp and perceptive beyond her years, may come to realize the truth behind Nina's sudden withdrawal. But in the heat of her anger, it's unlikely that she'll give Nina the benefit of the doubt. In fact, she may interpret the abrupt end to their dialogue as evidence that Nina was hiding something all along, possibly even orchestrating something more sinister. If Charlotte connects Nina's evasiveness to her suspicion that Valentine is in danger because of her, the betrayal will feel twice as deep. Nina, in her attempt to sever the line of communication to protect everyone involved, might have inadvertently confirmed Charlotte's worst fears that she's being used and excluded, even by those who claim to care about her. Even worse, Charlotte might soon avoid Nina altogether. If Nina tries to reopen the conversation in the future to explain her actions or manipulate Charlotte into silence, she might find herself shut out. Charlotte, already hardened by a lifetime of shifting alliances and half-truths, could develop a deep-seated mistrust not just toward Nina, but toward anyone trying to control her narrative. And once she embraces that mistrust, her next steps will be fueled by emotion rather than caution. From a moral standpoint, Nina hasn't truly committed any crime against Charlotte yet. Yes, she used Brennan to her advantage. She deceived him after extracting the outcome she needed, ensuring Willow stayed out of prison. But in doing so, she deliberately withheld cooperation from Brennan's plan to take down Valentine, quietly protecting her former partner and his daughter. Still, that distinction means little to someone like Charlotte, whose view of the world has been filtered through betrayal and secrecy her entire life. What matters to her isn't what Nina meant to do, it's how she felt being cast aside and manipulated. And this is where the Cassadine blood begins to burn. Rather than seeking truth or reconciliation, Charlotte may instead turn inward, plotting a quiet, calculated retaliation. Nina's mistake wasn't betrayal, it was underestimating how deeply Charlotte could be wounded, and how quickly that pain could curdle into vengeance. Charlotte might not strike immediately, but she will certainly consider how to hurt Nina in the most meaningful way possible. For a girl raised in the shadow of Valentine and molded by the Cassadine legacy, revenge isn't loud, it's layered, precise, and devastating. One way to accomplish that is to strike at Nina's heart her daughter Willow. The irony is painful. Nina once fought tooth and nail to establish a bond with Willow, clinging to the idea of motherhood as a form of redemption. Now the daughter she once rejected and later fought to protect could become the very thing used against her. Charlotte, who once desperately wanted to be loved by Nina, now believes that bond was never real. When Danny Morgan pointed out that it's understandable for Nina to do anything to protect her daughter, Charlotte's response was chilling. She snapped, reminding him that she too was Nina's daughter once, but clearly that no longer mattered. That admission reveals a dangerous new mindset. Charlotte no longer sees herself as family. She sees herself as collateral. To her, the title of daughter was conditional, discarded the moment Willow's safety became Nina's priority. That rejection may serve as the emotional fuel Charlotte needs to justify targeting Willow. She may convince herself that Nina's love is toxic, and that the only way to punish her is by disrupting the very thing she tried so hard to save. If Charlotte goes down that road, her campaign against Willow could take many forms. She might expose secrets from Willow's past, manipulating public opinion, or leak information to figures who would use it against her. She could sabotage Willow's professional life or threaten her family's stability, all while remaining outwardly composed. The goal wouldn't be physical harm, it would be emotional devastation. A mirror of the betrayal Charlotte believes she endured. And unlike impulsive revenge, this kind of methodical destruction would be far harder to detect and much more difficult to stop. Charlotte's internal logic may even convince her that what she's doing is a form of justice. In her mind, Nina's choice is protecting Willow, withholding Valentin's location. Cutting off communication were all acts of betrayal, and betrayal demands consequence. She doesn't see herself as the villain of this story. She sees herself as someone taking back power in a world that has repeatedly made her feel powerless. That conviction makes her dangerous not just to Nina and Willow but to herself. Because once she steps into the dark, there may be no easy way back. Meanwhile, Nina remains unaware of just how deep Charlotte's pain runs. She may believe that her decision to sever contact was the right one, that it shielded both Charlotte and Valentin from greater harm. But Nina's failure to reckon with Charlotte's emotional reality, to acknowledge her need for validation and protection, could cost her everything. Charlotte isn't just angry. She's wounded, abandoned, and seeking control. If Nina doesn't find a way to reach her or at least anticipate her retaliation, she may soon find herself at the mercy of a girl who knows every weakness she's ever tried to hide. The tragedy in all of this lies in missed opportunities. Charlotte might have been reasoned with. She might have listened, if not to Nina, then to someone who truly understood her. But no one stepped in soon enough. No one acknowledged her pain with honesty or gave her space to grieve the fractured connections in her life. And so, like so many Cassadines before her, Charlotte may now turn to vengeance as a substitute for healing. Whether she succeeds in her plans or not, the road she's on will change her. It will harden her. It will teach her that trust is a liability and love is a weapon. And for a girl with her intelligence, resources, and lineage, that's a terrifying prospect. Because when Charlotte finally makes her move, she won't be acting as a child scorned. She'll be acting as a Cassadine, cold, calculating, and convinced that revenge is the only answer left. Given everything Charlotte overheard, the trajectory she now follows could become far more calculated and dangerous than anyone in Port Charles anticipates. Her perception of betrayal, combined with the weight of her family name and the pain of exclusion, may compel her to take bold action. And what better target than Willow, the woman Charlotte believes benefited most from Nina's loyalty, even as Charlotte herself was cast aside. In Charlotte's view, the easiest way to make Nina suffer isn't through direct confrontation, it's through systematic dismantling of what Nina loves most: her daughter's peace, reputation, and future. Charlotte, who is no stranger to secrecy and manipulation, may very well seek to expose Willow's darkest secrets, not to invoke legal justice, but to unravel her public image. One of those secrets, as Charlotte now knows, involves Willow shooting her under circumstances that were quietly swept under the rug. Thanks to Jack Brennan's interference, Willow was never charged. She was shielded from prosecution, and Nina allegedly played a role in brokering that deal. But Charlotte hasn't forgotten the incident. The bullet may not have claimed her life, but it left a wound far deeper, an emotional scar compounded by the realization that no justice was ever served. Now, with the Cassadine fire igniting in her heart, Charlotte might decide that, if the law can't punish Willow, then public shame will. Her plan wouldn't involve physical retaliation, it would revolve around exposure. She could easily begin spreading whispers, feeding half-truths to the press, or leaking suggestive details about the incident to community leaders, school boards, and mutual acquaintances. If framed the right way, Charlotte could shape the narrative that Willow is dangerous, that she once attempted to kill a teenager and walked free thanks to backdoor deals and elite corruption. In a town like Port Charles, where reputations matter, such a campaign could be devastating. Even if Willow can't be tried again due to the legal principle of double jeopardy, she's still vulnerable to public opinion. Charlotte could strategically time her revelations to coincide with court hearings or family mediation sessions, casting a shadow over Willow's character at the worst possible moments. For instance, if Willow were in the midst of a custody battle, whether over Wiley or another child, Charlotte's disclosures could tip the scales. Judges may not be able to convict Willow, but they could still interpret her past as a red flag in deciding what's best for a child. All it would take is doubt, and Charlotte, with her sharp instincts and cold resolve, knows how to sow it. To Charlotte, this form of vengeance serves a dual purpose. It punishes Willow for past actions and shatters the image Nina clings to, that of a redeemed mother who did what was necessary to protect her child. By unraveling Willow's carefully curated persona, Charlotte could effectively discredit Nina as well, casting her as a morally compromised woman who helped hide a violent crime. If she succeeds, Nina may find herself ostracized again, and this time without the support system she once relied on. Yet Charlotte may be underestimating the woman she's targeting. If she crosses a line, she might not find herself as invisible as she believes. Willow has long been painted as kind, nurturing, and emotionally grounded, but that's only one side of her. Beneath the surface lies a woman who's endured cult indoctrination, betrayal, and relentless grief. She's killed to survive and protected her family with the kind of ferocity that doesn't vanish just because the past has been buried. If Charlotte threatens that stability, especially with lies or manipulation, Willow may respond in ways Charlotte hasn't anticipated. And given how much Willow has already sacrificed for her family, there's a chance she might fight back quietly, but effectively. This situation could escalate further if Charlotte uncovers more than just the shooting incident. If she stumbles upon evidence or even whispers that Willow was involved in Drew Kane's mysterious stroke, whether through direct action, negligence, or cover-up, it would ignite a new level of fury. Drew's collapse has been a point of speculation, and if Charlotte ties that incident to Willow, her sense of justice might evolve into something darker. In her mind, Willow wouldn't just be someone who hurt her, she'd be someone who has continually harmed the people Charlotte cares about and walked away unpunished.